Hey there guys, welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Today is Wednesday, June 6, 2012, and I have Brian and Steve here with me today. We're currently going over some of our plans for our new documentary on the Bilderberg group. And obviously for the past week or so, a lot of the videos have been focusing on Bilderberg because Steve and I were in Chantilly covering it. So I thought today we'd have Brian can break down for us a little bit of his experience going to Montreal. While Steve and I were in Chantilly, Virginia, Brian got an opportunity to head to Montreal to cover some of the student protests that were going on there. And I'll put a link to the video that he put together. I'll put a link to that in the description. But so what was it like for you down there in Montreal a few days ago? What's the scene there these days?
Well, the student union talks with the government just recently broke down again the other day, so now they're back on the streets again protesting because the offer from the government was rather minimal. It was less than $80 that they were knocking off the tuition hike, and they weren't even willing to talk about Bill 78, which was this new bill that was placed in Quebec to limit protests and putting intense fines on protesters up to $125,000 for student unions, and it would double the second time that you got arrested. So a lot of people are saying that Bill 78 is unconstitutional, and even the day I was there, I was actually able to attend a protest where a lot of the lawyers in the Bar Association in Montreal was joining in solidarity with the students, saying that they wouldn't support these new special laws that were coming in because they were, in essence, draconian and were extreme punishments for small crimes like your right to protest, which is a constitutional right of every Canadian. The vibe I got there was really uplifting. It felt great being there. I mean, I was shooting from about 6 a.m. until midnight when I left the city, and we were marching around with the students for about 4 hours straight. We probably walked close to like 20 or 30 kilometers on the street. And I was impressed to see that the lack of police presence there, and that wasn't due to the fact that the police weren't actually at the protest. That was because there was over 50 protests going on throughout the city in that night alone, and each protest would have anywhere from 500 to 5,000 people at it. They were engaging in a type of protest that was originated in Chile, where they bang on pots and pans to show dissent, and you know, after a while that can kind of get ringing in your ears a little bit, but I understand the necessity to kind of get the noise out, get the vibe out to people. And people were doing this on their balconies, they were doing this on their doorsteps. There was grandmothers, grandfathers, kids in the crowd, and it was just really, really uplifting to see this. And you know, it's encouraging also to know that Eric from the Love Police Montreal, he explained that he's planning on making a documentary film out of all of his footage, and was just saying of all the stuff that he's got. And so, you know, good on him to do that, because you know, there's definitely, for me personally, there's a language barrier there because I understand some French, but I'm not completely fluent. So it's definitely a thing that needs to be done by somebody who's there experiencing the event as it unfolds and lives there and can kind of experience and explain that to people in its entirety. So I look forward to, you know, helping them out wherever I can with that, and hopefully we'll make it back down to Montreal to cover more events.
And did you get some sort of insight into what they're planning on doing this weekend? I think they have some car show or something. What did you find out that they have in store for the weekend?
Yeah, this weekend is the F1. The Grand Prix is going on in Montreal, and the Grand Prix is usually financed and sponsored by a lot of corporate sponsors. You know, in the history, there's a lot of cigarette companies like De Maurier that sponsor the Grand Prix. Not to mention, you know, dozens of other big corporations that sponsor this. So they're planning on disrupting this because it brings millions of dollars into the city every year. So they're going to show the city that they're going to get their message out there by disrupting the city's ability to bring in money from corporate sponsors. Also, from June 11th to the 14th, a lot of the governors of the world banks, different central banks from around the world, are going to be meeting in Montreal to discuss the world financial situation on the heels of Bilderberg. You know, a lot of the people from the World Bank, TD Bank Group, Bank of Canada were there, Federal Reserve, and they're all going to be meeting in Montreal, so they're planning on disrupting these events too, so more power to them.
Yeah, so we'll be keeping an eye on some of the things going on there in the next few days, coming weeks. And for now, check out the video. I'll put a link to it in the description. It's called, what's it called? Montreal, Welcome to the Revolution?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have a link for that for you in the description. Check it out when you get a chance. And other than that, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in once again, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.